Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. Thanks very much for joining the webinar given to us by Output Sports. So what I'm going to do today, I don't know if anybody here was on the webinar on Monday with Martin, but basically what he did is gave a quick overview of the system, kind of what it entails, and obviously a bit of a mission statement from the company itself. So that recording will be sent out to everyone as well. But today I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper into the system and kind of show end-to-end flow between both the app and the online training management software, which we call Hub. So I'll dive into that in a second. Just before that, if anyone has any questions, if you could just write it into the chat box at the bottom of your screen, there should be a little chat icon. Thomas, one of our sports scientists who's moderating today, he'll be answering those on the fly, or any questions that he can on the fly. And any ones that we don't get to, or maybe more pertinent to the presentation, we'll kind of leave towards the end, where we'll have like a 10 to 15 minute Q&A section for anything that comes up. So without further ado, I'm gonna start diving into the presentation. So what we've got here, you guys can hopefully all see my screen. Thomas, just let me know if we can't. But oh, somebody's joining just there. 2 seconds. Cool. All right. So what we've got here is the online system Hub. And essentially, this is our training management system. Okay, so this is where we can perform all our analytics. All our data gets stored here as well. We can do our team and individual athlete management, and we can also schedule and create workout and testing protocols. Okay, so in order to kind of showcase the flow from both the Hub, between the Hub and the app, I'm going to start with just quickly clicking here and giving you an overview of our workout template builder. And as you can see here, it's essentially a drag and drop system where we have access to all the modules, all the measurement modules and testing modules that we have in the system. And you can kind of create your workout and testing protocols in a very easy drag and drop fashion. So you can see I've already kind of prepared things ahead of time. What we've got here is we've got a reminder that's going to pop up once we access this template in the app. We're then led to a warm-up series. We're going to then do a shoulder mobility and a jump test as well, and then move on to some barbell velocity bench press. And then obviously there's a bit of a note at the end as well. So all these templates can be customized, can be changed, can be edited. As you can see here, I've also got a superset created between the shoulder external rotation and the counter movement jump. And we can also include custom exercises as well. Okay, so any exercise that isn't in the library or any measurement that's not in the library, we can drop in a tag. We can obviously fill out all the information around this custom exercise and make loading prescriptions as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to go ahead and just quickly swap this out for back squat, just to kind of show you how this would look like if we're changing something on the fly. We're dropping in a back squat here, and we're going to keep open-ended reps, and let's just say we're going to do our back squat at 175 pounds. So what we can do is save and continue. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I need to do infinity reps. Save and continue. We now have this available to us in the workout library. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly switch to my phone and show you how everything works in the app once we've created our protocol. Okay, so everyone should be seeing my screen now. So this is the Output app. As we saw before, if we click into the workouts, okay, so if we go into the NHSSCA workout that I just showed on the screen, we obviously get an overview of the flow, and also we'll be able to see the reminders that we had for the day, right? So for example, if I have this questionnaire reminder, it's like, okay, I need to go back, I can go back to my profile. And just for sake of demonstration, we're going to be able to choose between all athletes within our squad as well. So you can either scroll through the entire roster, or we can also create tags and group tags within the Hub in order to be able to filter quickly and kind of minimize that amount of scrolling that we have to do. So if I created a tag with sports science, this is my team that I'd like to select from. I can then scroll down to the athletes that are tagged within this team, and then I can go back to searching for my workout template. So again, it pops up for that individual athlete too. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to fill out our daily wellness questionnaire. Okay, so we're just going to take ourselves through here: perceived wellness, psychological health, physical health, and sleep quality. Okay, so now we have those logged. So now we can go back to our protocol and we can start our workout. So as you can see here, we've done the questionnaire. That's all done. So now we get into our warm-up series. Okay, as you can see, we've performed the set. I'm just selecting this, and I'm going to be selecting it as done. And then now I can move on to the actual assessments. Okay, so what I now can do is, depending on the assessments that I'm doing and depending on the movements that I'm doing, that also dictates which attachments that I'm going to use. Okay, so as Martin outlined on Monday, this is the output sensor, accelerometer, gyroscope, and a magnetometer. And there are a couple of different accessories that come with the sensor depending on what movements you want to track. So today I'm going to be showing a shoulder external rotation. So what we have here is a wrist strap with which we can then fasten the universal pouch to, and then perform the shoulder external rotation. Okay, so it goes in here like this. I can attach the pouch on the Velcro, put the security strap over here. And now what I can do is I can go back into the app and perform my shoulder external rotation. So we're going to be beginning with the right-hand side. You can hopefully see me on my screen. I've set an auto stop so that the end position must be held for 2 seconds so that the rep can be logged. So I'm going to go ahead, start with my starting position, push start, and then go through my range of motion. Once I hold that for 2 seconds, we're going to get the measurement that's captured. Now that I've done it on my right side, I'm going to go ahead and do it on my left side. Okay, so we quickly swap over the Velcro, put the safety strap over. And now I can go ahead and do my left side as well. So from the starting position, I'll just reset the starting position. Okay, so from my starting position, I'm going to go through my range, hold it for 2 seconds, and then capture the measurement. Once we've done that, as you can see in the flow, we also have a unilateral counter movement jump. Okay, so I'm going to fake this here and basically use this next attachment that we'll be using today for the jumping. This is our foot strap, which we use for the jump test. So again, the universal pouch fits onto the Velcro, safety strap over the top, and you can just imagine that I'm slipping this over my foot. Okay. I'm going to unilateral CMJ, say it's my right side. Okay, I'm going to fake a jump. Okay, as you can see, got a new PB with my hand. And then I can go back and I can go ahead and do one on the left-hand side as well. Okay, so again, this would be swapped over to the other foot. Okay, starting here, and then I'm going to fake a jump. Okay, there we go. And what we can do now is ahead of the analysis that we can do in the online training management system, we can also do real-time analysis or post-set analysis within the app itself as well. So obviously, as we can see here, we've got the post-set analysis window, but we can also graph and represent things in kind of a dynamic reporting form. So both in a table version. So as you can see, I've got left-right comparisons, but I can also chart these left-right comparisons as well. And then obviously over time, if we would have multiple measurements for an individual side or an individual measurement, you'd also be able to kind of see the trend lines through that as well. Okay, so to kind of to move on from there, so that was mobility. We looked at some jumps, and now we're going to go to the VBT or the barbell velocity side of things. Okay, so what we have here is again, depending on the movement that you're doing, you can use different straps. And what we have for our barbell velocity is we actually have our barbell sleeve. Okay, so same kind of idea. The unit would slot into that sleeve, and then you would just wrap it around the bar, so that you wouldn't have to basically touch it again throughout the whole session, even as you're changing load or changing between athletes. Okay, So just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like in terms of feedback, as we said before, we're going to be doing our back squats at 175 pounds. We're going to calculate it by mean velocity in terms of the live feedback that we get. And we can also set some velocity targets or velocity drop-off targets as well, depending on what we want the system to kind of feedback during the repetitions. So for this demonstration, I'm going to set the velocity target range between 0.7 meters per second and 0.95 meters per second. I've made all my selections, and then now I'm ready to go. So I'm going to click start. And as we can see, as I'm kind of faking the reps here and kind of going through the different repetitions, we're getting that live feedback. Okay, so we're getting a very clear view of obviously how fast we're moving in terms of mean velocity, but also how far outside or inside we are of those velocity brackets that we calibrated at the beginning, like I showed you. You're not hearing it just now because I'm obviously plugged into the computer, but there's an auditory feedback as well. So if it's green, obviously that means we're within range. So you'd be getting a positive kind of bing. And if it's outside of the range red, you'd be getting a very clear kind of error bong, basically. So once we've finished our repetitions, we can click on finish. And now we get our post-set analysis screen. And if we scroll down, we can obviously see everything on a rep by rep basis as well. So the different color coding will indicate what the fastest rep was, what the slowest rep was, and any of the reps in between. And we can also get the rep by rep feedback for every single metric that we collect as part of the velocity tracking as well. So once we've done that, we kind of go back. As we can see, we're now at the end of the session. We've got a little note here to everyone to do their individual prehab work-ons and go see the athletic trainer. So we can finish the workout. We automatically log and collect RP as well. So, okay, so let's go ahead and say that was a 6. We can put in a custom comment. And then that's all going to be logged in the cloud as well. Okay, and then we kind of get a bit of an analysis screen from the actual session too. So that's a quick overview of the flow within the app and the workout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly move back over to the hub and kind of show you a little bit of the analysis side of things and how the hub and the app actually link together. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so now we're back in the hub. I'll kind of start from the top. Like obviously there's as you can see here, there's a bit of there's a live feedback screen that we have here as a kind of a snapshot overview of anything that's going on at the time with regards to exercises, repetitions that are being performed, but also we can create leaderboards in live leaderboards in order to kind of showcase that same information. Okay, so say for example we would be working as a group on back squat. We'd be in the gym kind of working through our repetitions. As we can see, everyone that's involved in that session is on that leaderboard, and it would be updating in real time as people work through the repetitions. With regards to the analysis options, and just to kind of take the movements that we did as an example, we can also then dive into not only looking at individual movements kind of over time, but also comparing movements against each other, okay? So for example, we obviously did some repetitions with Martin just now. We did a back squat today. So we can obviously see today's session or today's overall mean power max output, but we can also look at it historically, okay? So if I then have a look at the unilateral CMJs that we did, you can see we only have two of those, so the ones that we did today, but we can obviously overlay those metrics and those measurements against each other to kind of, paint a really solid analysis picture. To kind of give you an idea then too, like what we could then do as well as add multiple, another measure, for example, sleep quality, and we'd be able to kind of superimpose all those different lines and those different trends against each other. In terms of statistical analysis, we have a couple of options. You can obviously aggregate data, if things are too noisy, and you can also kind of, you can show PBs and things like average values and standard deviations as the case may be, depending on the data that you have. In terms of the individual analysis, we also have the option to obviously do set by set analysis, which we can do by going into the individual charting functions. So for example, for the back squat, including today's measurements, we can obviously look at just that single trend line. But the really cool thing is we can actually dive a little bit deeper and start looking at not just set versus set analysis, but also load velocity and power load profiles, okay? So for example, if I would dive deeper and would want to do, a comparison between, top end sets that were performed over the last 3 days, I could very easily do that quickly here. As you can see, we have this comparison, but to take things one step further, we can also then go to the profiling chart and create load velocity profiles based on any of the data points that we select from any of the sets or repetitions that have been performed historically. Okay, so obviously we could say, all right, we want to create a linear regression with today's data points, and then include a couple more in order to kind of create that that regression line. So the cool thing about this is, it doesn't just allow us to see kind of how our load velocity profile has progressed over time, for example, but we can also use it for loading prescription itself. Okay, so say for example, we know that we want to be working at roughly 0.6 meters on a given day. Based on the load velocity profile that we've drawn, we can then use this regression line to say, okay, if we want you to be working about 0.6 meters per second, you're going to be starting with a weight of about 240 pounds, and then we can kind of tweak things from there. So it's a really nice, easy way to kind of help guide loading prescription. But additionally, you can also use it to make an estimate of a 1RM, okay, without actually taking people to max loads. So if we then, for example, if we had a testing protocol where we maybe did 40 to 80% of our 1RM, so for example, these 5 sets, we would then be able, for a back squat, 1RM is roughly 0.2 meters per second, give or take. We'd be able to very reliably predict roughly what their, estimated 1RM would be for that exercise, which is obviously very useful, not just from an in-season testing perspective, but also, if you're bringing people back from injury, being able to kind of get a gauge of where they're at without necessarily taking them to max loads. As mentioned, we don't just do this for velocity, but you could also, determine an optimal power range, for example, for an athlete on a given exercise based on the sets that you've included in your regression line. And then lastly, I just wanted to kind of show the ability or the reporting abilities within the hub as well. Okay, so obviously what we looked at just now is kind of, more of a kind of the analysis section, but in terms of reporting, feeding back outcomes to key stakeholders, to athletes, to parents, to head coaches, we've created this custom reporting feature where you can create custom reporting templates and then send things directly to email from the hub itself. Okay. So I went ahead and kind of created a little custom template for today. If I click into this now, you can see which modules or which charts we're including in that. And if I take Martin, for example, and it's going to include his measures of today as well. I'm going to select Martin. We're going to create that template for him. We can include custom report notes. As I mentioned before, we can send directly to email from the system as well. And then we can go ahead and generate the report. So I'm just downloading that just now. I'll wait for it to download, quickly open up, and I'll just swap over to another screen. So we've got the report open. Yeah. And then now I just need to find it on the screen share. Here we go. Okay, so you should be able to see this now. So this is the custom report that we created, obviously for the athlete that we selected. The custom notes are in there as well. And as we can see, all the different modules or all the different graphs and interfaces that we wanted to show, we see them in the report here. So nice and clean, nice and easy, all automatic, and obviously drawn from the captured and stored data within the hub. Okay, so that was a quick walkthrough of both the hub and the app. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to write into the chat, and Thomas will pass it over to me. Okay, I think seems everyone's good. So so yeah, just wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to have a look at this quick demonstration of the output system. We have a webinar on Friday with Nick Garcia, who's with Notre Dame High School. He'll be taking us through not only how he trains his athlete, but how he uses the system to train the output system to train his athletes in his high school facilities. So really excited for that. Thank you again for your time, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Thank you very much.